Okay guys, thanks for checking out my channel again. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so to get notifications of when any new video comes out or anything like that. If you've watched my previous video, you'll have seen that I was talking a bit about what I was going to do in this video. So in this video, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get straight into it, is I'm going to talk about these chips and ram sticks, and how I go from the ram stick to the gold at the end. I just need to get something over here that I've left behind me. My little scales and my scales, and that's kind of everything I need, I think, for this video. And we'll be just one more item and we're ready to go. Pen, because I like to take notes of weights and stuff like that as I go along. So I'm going to do a video, well, it's going to be a series of videos from where I go from these ram sticks to a little bit of gold. So I'm going to break it down into maybe, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 parts. Could be more, could be less. Part 1 is this video, and in this video I talk about or show you what I do with the ram sticks once I receive them. So we'd say once you get your ram sticks, I like to, let's just zero that for a minute. So I like to try and, that's a pound of ram there, okay, that I've already taken the fingers off. Okay, so I'm leaving that aside for a second, and I'm going to go to another stage before that. So first off, the first thing I do when I start off the ram sticks is I remove all the gold fingers. So little shears like this, and I just trim along the gold fingers as tight as you can, so that you don't have much waste going in, that it's mainly just the gold fingers themselves. So again, you have a lot of this gold fingers, is what I like to get up in, or to try and make sure there's the least amount of that green. As you can see, that we've some at the end, but I try and trim the fingers as tight as I can so that there's the least amount of green left, and we're left with the most amount of gold we can possibly get on them. I also like to separate out the ram sticks into different types, whether they're these flat type or whether these, as you can see, they're more raised with little solders on the side and side. These are more solder balled, so the balls are underneath, the little balls of solder that hold them in place are underneath. So again, once I trim off the fingers like that, I like to try and keep them separate if I can, because it just I separate out the chips later as well, which I'll show you later in this video again. So again, that's all I'll be doing with these, is I'll just trim back the fingers. The reason I'm breaking down the video into small parts or sections is so that people can get a good idea. Sometimes there's videos up there and they put everything in one video, and people get bored after a while, and they miss a bit, and they want to go, they have to pause it, and if they take down notes or whatever. So this one I'm just doing how I prepare the ram sticks in stage 1 to get ready for preparation of removing the gold foils from the fingers. So first off is just do all the fingers. So leave a comment down below if you have any advice or anything you need to ask about it, if you're not sure of something. But this part is pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of removing the gold fingers from the actual ram stick itself. And as I say, try and keep it as tight as you can. gets boring after a while if you have a lot to do. As you can see from one of my tubs, I had a lot to do, so I've keep gathering them up in there. So these will be added to them once I've trimmed all the ram fingers that I have to do. I have about £2, maybe more to do, and then I'll have my ram fingers ready for the next stage of the next video, where I will remove the gold foils and stuff like that, show you what acids to use, what acids I use. Different people do different techniques. The technique I use to remove them. Okay, so that's the gold fingers from the ram sticks. As I said, there was 2 types of ram that I do. They're your 2 basic types of ram. So we have the flat packed IC chip on it, and then we have the IC chip which is soldered to the board with the wires on the side. So you can have double-sided versions of them, and then there's single-sided. I'm not sure if I have any single-sided there, I don't. But that's it. So also, you can also get fingers from your slot cards. So same thing exactly you do with these. You just close as you can to where the gold finishes and the green starts, and just trim along. Sometimes I trim too much above. As you can see there, I missed a nice little layer of gold there. So again, I'll just go again and I'll just trim it again. So this time we've got the last bit of gold that was on that board. So again, just move along to the next one. So again, we have our little piece of gold finger, and do the same. So you'll find these gold fingers on slot cards. You'll find them on TV. Will have a gold finger strip in it. TV boards, some of the flat screen TV boards will have gold fingered strips. So again, same thing. These can be all treated the same way as your gold fingers from your ram. Again, just as you can see, these are the gold. They're very lightly flashed. You need a lot of them to make it worthwhile. That's why I collect them up. I just don't process them until I have a lot. I think I've maybe 10 or 12 pounds in weight of gold fingers at the moment, ready for processing. Yields out of gold fingers, on average, you're getting a gram per pound. So if you have 10 pounds, you'll get 10 grams, value somewhere around $300. So again, it's not going to make you absolutely rich, but if you get the stuff for free, like I do most of it, that I pick up from friends, old places that may be throwing out old computers. It's a matter of keeping an eye out, making contacts, making people that work in offices, stuff like that. They can let you know if a company is changing their computer system. So you can maybe get in and get the old computers, if they're getting rid of the old computers, if they're just going dumping them. A lot of the time they are a bit worried about giving out the old stuff because of data protection. So again, you can take out the hard drive for them, let them destroy the hard drive themselves. You can so that they know that there's no breach of data, that the hard drive is destroyed. Let them keep the data, let them keep the hard drive, whatever they want themselves, so that they know that you're not giving away any of their data or doing anything like that. So again, then I just add these into there with the rest of the fingers. As you can see, we've a lot of fingers here. I have a couple of more tubs, so I think it's about 13 pound a weight. I think I have. I'm not sure, 100% sure. I'll have to check that out again. So that's all. That's that part of done. The second part then is the removal of the chips. Now, the reason I had the scales here is just to let you know what I do with the scales. What I do with the scales is I weigh up all the ram sticks. So again, I try and for known yields in future. I don't do them all, but I say I get a pound of these. I'll weigh up a pound of these, and that'll give me then I roughly know how many sticks are in the pound. So this will help if anyone is buying ram. If you do buy RAM to try and do this, and you want to make sure you don't want to be overpaying, that you're going to be losing money on it. So then I know, right, I have that 20 sticks in a pound of this type of RAM. There's how many grams of chips and how many grams of fingers. So then when I do my final gold recovery, if I done 10 pounds of fingers, then I can divide it by the amount of fingers the amount of grams in a pound of these. So then I can say that out of a pound of these, I get 0.3 of a gram of gold, for instance. Now, I'm not saying that's what it is, but or it could be 0.2 or 0.01 or whatever it is. So then you could say, well, that's worth $10. The chips give me another $10, so I get $20 worth of gold from a pound. I'm not saying you will get $20 worth of thing, you'll probably come nowhere near it, but I'm just taking them figures out. So then if someone is selling you or looking for 25 quid a pound for RAM, you know it's not worth going near, because you're losing money straight away even before you go to time doing it, and your assets that you have to use on all the cost of them. So this is why I do weigh them out first. Now, the second part of what I do with the RAM sticks once I've removed the fingers is I remove the chips next. So the way I do it, if it's these flat ones, is I just put a chisel in underneath here, and usually that will free out the little thing. The reason I take these chips off is these also contain gold. So it's not just the gold fingers that you see straight away where your gold is. Your gold is also inside the chips. So there's gold bonding wires inside most of these chips. Sometimes you can see the little gold flecks at the back. See a little gold dot up here. It's very hard to see, but there's a little gold dot surfacing here, but inside of here there'll be more gold. So again, it's just straightforward. In under with the chisel I do it, and I just flick them off, and again flick them off. Now I usually wear a glove so that if the chisel slips it doesn't go straight into my hand, which I'd advise anyone to be doing. Make sure you have all your safety gear, but I'm kind of used to it now at this stage, and I know how much pressure to kind of put on. Sometimes, as I say, it still does slip a bit, but that's the chips removed completely there now. So that board is practically useless. Now I do hold on to some of these boards, as in the likes of this one where I can see a little bit gold, anything like this. So what I'll do with them is I'll put them into hydrochloric acid, and I'll remove the solder, so I'm left with a clean board, and then I'll treat them eventually with the same way that I treat the gold fingers, but I won't be doing that for a long time. Also, I remove, if you see here, we've got these little MLCCs, so they will contain silver, platinum and possibly gold sometimes. So again, it's just a matter of flicking with the chisel, and I have that removed. So it's very small, but I just remove them while I'm at it here now, and once I have them all removed, that should be the board practically done. There's nothing else to remove from that. You can remove that little IC chip if you want. Sometimes I don't bother removing them. So again, I'll just run through that one more time. So I just put in the chisel and flick from under the corner, and we remove the chips. I like to keep the chips separate when I'm processing them, so that I can get a better yield, what sort of yield we're getting off them, so that I know, again, if I do decide to buy some RAM, whether there's more gold in these type or there's more gold in the other type. It just gives me a better idea, a better price. And so again, if you look on eBay, you'll see a lot of people selling RAM, and it is overpriced. It is crazy prices, because again, people don't know how much gold they're going to get out of it. They presume that there's tons that see the shiny bit of gold and they go, oh, that's it, easy money. I'll remove that, buy that. Oh sure, it's costing $50, it doesn't matter. I'm going to make $100. So no, you won't. You're not going to make $100 on RAM sticks. So as you see, this one is two-sided. So again, I just turn it over, and we just try and get in under them chips. So we just have a quick look. Again, you can see the little bit of gold flashing coming out through the chip here. So when you burn it, incinerate it, you will release the gold bonding wires. So again, that will be in another video coming on the, it'll be another part of the videos to come. So as I said, there will be maybe 10 parts to this video eventually to get to the stage, because people make it look like it's easy. When you see it on videos, they start off with this, next thing the gold is floating on the top of the acid, and next minute they're melting it, and there it is. It goes very quick, doesn't give much explanation, so that's the reason I'm doing this video, is to give people a better idea of what is in it. Now, I'll just do one more and then we'll move on to the second type of, because the reason I'm doing one more is I want to show you something on this one. So just remove the chips as quick as I can. So again, it's easier to see the little gold here on this. You have gold here coming through, and gold here coming through, and gold here coming through. So you can just about see them in the corners. Now, the reason I wanted to do this one was to show you that the difference in the type of sticks. So this stick, compared to my first one, you can see the gold a lot more prominent, gold flashing all along it. So that's the reason I did keep these separate, and I'll treat these different. As you can see here on the back of these two, you can see the gold a lot better, a lot more gold, so they'll be kept. Even this one has some gold coming through, but not much. So that's what I do with them. I keep them separate and I'll treat them. Again, you'll see that in a video coming as part of this whole series, where I separate out all the good ones. I still have little bits of flecks of gold on them, just to see what sort of quality or what sort of quantity of gold I get from them. If I have enough of them, I'd say I have maybe 40 or 50, maybe 60 pounds of them like that. After I've cleaned them off, removed all these chips, I still have all the amount of weight of sticks. So maybe more, might be a couple of 100 pounds. So there's my chips. So again, as I said already, I try and keep them separate. So I put them into a separate little tub, and I'll fill that tub with them, and then I'll do the same with another one at a later date. We'll keep filling them up. So then the next type is this type, and the way I like to remove them is again with the chisel, and I just rub down along there, and that tears off the wire that has held them together. So again, that is straightforward. I like to put a bit of cardboard or a bit of timber or something under it, so the chisel, when it goes down, is not damaging anything you have underneath it. So I just use a bit of cardboard, again, just down into it. Just shake it until you remove the chips. Again, there's gold bond wires inside of here, and everywhere there's a wire, usually that's a gold bond wire running through here. So they're very small, but if you have enough of them, they'll all add up in the end. Again, per pound of chips, I will expect to get a gram of gold. So again, I think I have about 70, I know I wouldn't have that much, really, about 50 pounds worth of chips at the moment. So that should give me 100 grams of gold, not counting for acids and all that that I'm going to be using. But if I got a gram for each one, that's 100 grams of gold, which would be about over $3,000 dollars. So there is a bit of money in them if you get enough of them. And as I say, some people are getting more than a gram, some people are getting less than a gram. So I average it out at about a gram per pound is what most people will get. Some people, as they can get more, will know when we run through all this video what sort of yield I get. It all depends on the quality of your assets. It all depends on how good you are at doing it. If you take your time, if you rush it. That's why I'm doing it in sections instead of rushing through these videos and getting it all out and showing you this lump of gold at the end and saying, oh, this is great. I'm going to actually do it slow and try and get the best yield I can. If it doesn't come out right at the end, it doesn't come out right at the end. There's no point saying to you, oh, that worked. Is whatever way it comes, and that's it. I won't lie to people. It's not what I mean. I'm not trying to sell ram sticks. I'm not trying to sell the ram or anything. This is for myself. I'm doing this If I was trying to sell RAM, I'd be telling you, oh, you get 5 grams of gold, you get this, because there's people out there telling you can get loads, because they have a vested interest in you paying more for electronic waste. So again, that is all the chips removed. I'm just going to pause the video for a second. It's just something I need to do, and then I'll come back and continue on. Okay guys, back again. So I just finished up with that RAM stick. There was someone at the door, I had to go answer the door, so that was it. So again, you can see little bits of gold in among this, so again, I'll hold on to them. If they don't have any sign of any gold, let me see if I can find one. This one I think is the one that looks like it doesn't have any gold. All I do once I'm finished with, just send the chip for recycling to the plastics. So this one is like a double chip, so you have one on top, and then underneath it you have the second chip. So it makes it a bit more awkward and a bit more chance of slipping chisels. As you can see, it's very awkward, so I'll just move on to the second one first and see can I get a better from the other side of it. If this will slide down. So again, it's just a matter of removing all these chips. The problem with this is it's in under like a leather protective board, so it makes it a bit harder to get into. So I may need to change chisels later on to get into that little bit. So I'll leave that aside actually, because it's not going to come out. I can't get in where I need to get in there to remove that chip. So we'll just leave them aside for a second. I'll find another one that isn't. This one is the one. Okay, so we remove. So I say I won't lie to people, it's not straightforward. Sometimes you come across difficult things like that. I just put them aside, and on a day when I'm not in such a hurry, or in a day when I have more time, I'll deal with them. Anything awkward I'll leave aside, because anything that slows you up isn't worth it in the end. It's only if you have nothing for doing or no other stuff to do. I have piles of chips and stuff I have to deal with, and boards, where I'll be, as I say, I'll be doing different videos. This series of videos I'll be doing will be on the RAM sticks. I will do a series of videos on the CPUs. I'll do a series of videos on MLCCs. I'll do a series of videos on the normal removing chips from the boards and processing them again. So gold pins. I'll do a series on the gold pins from the boards. So I do a couple of different series on them. So I'll try and break it down as best I can. I'll still be doing other videos in between. So just because I've started this one doesn't mean the next video after this will be the gold, putting the gold fingers in the acid. I have other stuff to be doing, other videos. So it comes along in stages. I'll do a video on the actual assets themselves as well. I'll do a video on different equipment that I use. So there'll be a video on the when I'm about to do the gold fingers. I'll do a video on the setup that I use, which is a bucket in bucket setup usually with an air bubbler. I'll do that as well, so you can see what equipment I'm using. I don't use high-tech equipment. It's all cheap and cheerful stuff. It's no point investing in high-tech unless you're doing this full-time. This is only a part-time sideline for me, just something different. And it's more to see, can I do it, or is it possible to make money out of it, or even just cover the costs of it, so you can do it and show that you can get gold from actual electronics. A lot of people can do it, so if you're able to do it. So this board here, the reason I want to show you this is, if you look at this board, you can see very little gold left on the board. There's no gold shine at all. Like this board here, you can see the gold flashing on it, still there. You can see it here on this board. You can see the bits of gold here, and inside all these little dots here are gold. So this board then, as you can see, has no gold left on it. So There's nothing of value left on that board, so again that board will just be disposed of, recycled is the word. So again, then once I have these chips, again I just put them into a container, keep them separate from the rest, so we get better yields on them, so we can work out which chips have the best yield. So again, we can go, a pound of these give me so many, give me a gram. A pound of these might only give me half a gram, might give me a gram and a half. So it'll work out better. It works out better for everyone. At least we know yields, and we can try and work out how much a pound people should be paying if you have ram sticks. The people selling the ram sticks probably won't be happy with me. They'll probably say that I'm wrong and this and that, but again, they have a vested interest in selling the ram sticks for the most money they can, which is their choice. And if people are daft enough to give them 20 quid a pound or whatever it is they're giving them, then that's their problem, not my problem. But I won't be giving them that money once I can see what yields, what I'm getting off them, and that's it. So I'll continue on off screen and just do these finish up my ram sticks. So in the next part of the video, which I won't set a date for because things happen, but I'll try to do it as quick as I can, as soon as I can. We will be going on to what I do with these, the next stage after I've trimmed off all the fingers. What is the next stage for this, and how, and what assets I'll be using and stuff like that. I might just do a video on the assets, or I might just do a video on the setup, or I might do a video with the whole lot, the setup, the assets, and putting them into the asset. But we'll see what way I do it. I don't want to give too much information in one go to people. I want it to be easy for people to follow. So this first video is straightforward, shows you how to prepare your ram sticks, what to remove from your ram sticks for your gold recovery, and that's it. So until the next video, thanks for watching. Make sure you're a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can see the next part of this video coming along, so you can know what to do next. And thanks for watching.